High-stakes testing. What is high-stakes testing? Tests mandated by the federal government and tied to federal funding. These high-stakes tests are administered to all students in public schools receiving federal funding. Student test scores are used for accountability of federal funds being received in public schools. Students in grades 3 through 8 are required to take standardized tests to meet federal requirements. Students in high schools also must take math and reading standardized tests to also meet these federal requirements. High-stakes testing implementation. High-stakes testing is a mandatory requirement of the No Child Left Behind Act. No Child Left Behind required all students to be tested and reach proficiency by 2014. The No Child Left Behind Act required subgroups regardless of race, gender, socioeconomic status, special needs, and English language learners to reach proficiency by 2014. This goal was not reached. The Every Student Succeeds Act was put in place in December 2015 to replace the No Child Left Behind Act. The importance of high-stakes testing. All public schools receiving federal funds are required to participate in high-stakes testing. Students in grades 3 through 8 are tested. High school students are also tested in math and English. To meet the high demands of high-stakes testing, teachers have built curriculum around test preparation. These tests are used to determine the quality of curriculum in a school as well as student achievement. High-stakes testing subgroups. All students must reach proficiency under the high-stakes testing federal funding guidelines. Students from certain groups are compiled into subgroups. These subgroups are comprised of minority groups, low socioeconomic students, special education and students with exceptionalities, and English language learners despite entry-level status. High-stakes testing and subgroups. These subgroups are often the focus of data collection. The members of these subgroups have had a history of low-performing achievement, and therefore are the group's federal administrators are observing for student growth and achievement. Failure to show growth in these subgroups is often the reason schools fail to make school improvement and fall into the school improvement program. Low or non-proficient test scores. Schools with low-performing test scores can receive funding cuts or funding loss, negative publicity, decreased graduation rates, loss of teacher units, and salary freezes for teachers and administration. High or proficient test scores. Schools with high-performing test scores can receive increased funding, awards, increased graduation rates, positive press, increased teacher units, and salary increases for both teachers and administrators. Teacher evaluations and high-stakes testing. Many proponents of standardized or high-stakes testing want to tie student test scores to teacher evaluations. These proponents feel test scores are a major component of teacher effectiveness. Tying teacher evaluations to test scores could have a negative effect on teaching. Teachers could start teaching only content and ideologies directly related to standardized testing. Teachers and administrators have also lost their jobs and certificates over cheating on standardized tests. Teacher evaluations and high-stakes testing. Teaching towards a high-stakes test is bad for teachers and students. I will not be willing to compromise my teaching principles just to ensure my students have high test scores. Teaching science is about teaching students to think and problem solve, not regurgitate facts. Teaching includes more than just the written curriculum. It also includes teaching students life skills, character education, and group skills necessary for life that would be lost if test scores drove my curriculum. High-stakes testing and pre-kindergarten programs. In an effort to better prepare students for mandated testing starting in 3rd grade, many schools have started pre-kindergarten programs. Many states have felt the pressure to develop pre-K programs to better prepare students for elementary school and high school high-stakes testing they must comply with to receive federal funds. While public pre-K programs are good for students who cannot afford private programs, high-stakes testing should not be the driving force for creating these programs. Incentive programs for high-stakes testing. Many states have developed incentive programs through public and private donors. These programs were developed to increase test scores and motivate students. The idea of incentives is good in theory. However, we have to find a way to activate the motivation within students and show them the results of hard work and education. High-stakes testing in low-income schools and students. Schools in low-income areas are often at an unfair disadvantage in the high-stakes testing game. These schools are generally underfunded, high poverty, and high minority. Schools in underfunded areas often struggle to employ high-quality teachers and have high levels of disciplinary issues. Schools in low-income areas also lack the local funding, which helps many schools offer extracurricular activities that help students excel in the classroom. High-stakes testing and disadvantages for schools and students. Schools with accelerated classes and mainstream classes also offer disadvantages for teachers and students. Having taught both college preparatory and accelerated classes, there's an unfair advantage to accelerated classes. These classes do not have disciplinary issues which distract from teaching. Accelerated classes are also able to move at a faster pace and cover more material due to the higher achievement level of all students in the classroom. Teachers of regular or mainstream classes would also be unfairly evaluated compared to accelerated teachers whose students would perform better due to accelerated instruction, lack of behavioral issues, and high achievement levels of all students in the class. High-stakes testing and opting out. The pressure of high-stakes testing can be eliminated by schools opting out of federal funding. The opt-out feature of high-stakes testing means schools will receive no federal funding. This loss of federal funds is not an option for many school systems. Private schools have opted out of federal funds, which is why they charge tuition to pay for teacher salaries and day-to-day operations. High-stakes testing and leadership. The increased paperwork and accountability of the No Child Left Behind Act and now the Every Student Succeeds Act means administrators have more responsibilities than ever. As teacher leaders, we have to step up to assist in curriculum, instruction, and collaboration of teachers in the school. Teacher leaders can also serve to help interpret and disseminate data to all stakeholders. Teacher leaders can also offer instructional ideas and plans to improve student engagement and achievement.